Economics, at its heart, is the study of how people make decisions when they cannot have everything they want. It examines the choices we make every single day, both big and small. These choices are necessary because our desires often outstrip the resources to obtain them. This fundamental condition is called scarcity. We only have so much time in a day. We only have so much money in our wallets. A country has only so much land. It has so many workers. It has so many machines. Economics is the discipline that studies how limited resources get allocated. Individuals, businesses, families, governments. The study of economics may seem like a modern science, but its roots stretch deep into human history. The fundamental economic problem, how to manage scarce resources, has existed for as long as people have. In ancient societies, economic life was simple, but the choices were stark. Barter, direct trading of goods and services without money. A farmer with a surplus of wheat might trade it for a potter's clay jars. These were the first markets, thinking about value and exchange. People practiced economics daily, deciding about survival and improvement. What to produce, what to trade, how to save for the future. The formal study of economics began to take shape much later. Ancient Greek thinkers like Aristotle wrote about household management. It was not until the 18th century that economics truly began to emerge as a distinct field. The Scottish philosopher Adam Smith is widely regarded as the father of modern economics. In his monumental 1776 book, The Wealth of Nations, he laid out a comprehensive vision of how markets work. He argued that individuals pursuing their own self-interest in a free market could, as if guided by an invisible hand, promote the overall good of society. The 19th century brought the Industrial Revolution, which radically transformed economies and societies. Factories sprang up, cities grew, new social classes emerged. In this context, thinkers like Karl Marx offered a powerful critique of capitalism, arguing that it was inherently unstable and exploitative. At the same time, other economists made the field more rigorous and scientific, developing supply and demand and using mathematics to describe relationships. This shift is known as the marginal revolution. The 20th century was marked by immense economic turmoil, the Great Depression and two world wars, challenging existing theories. Keynes argued that governments had a crucial role in managing the economy, proposing increased spending during downturns to stimulate demand and create jobs. After World War II, Milton Friedman championed free markets and limited government intervention. Today, economics is a diverse, global discipline using sophisticated data analysis and mathematical models to address human problems. To understand economics, one must first grasp a few fundamental ideas. These concepts are the building blocks of economic reasoning. The most basic of all is scarcity, the simple, unchangeable fact that there are not enough resources to satisfy everyone's wants. Time is scarce. You cannot be in two places at once. Money is scarce. Buying one thing often means you cannot afford another. Because of scarcity, we are forced to make choices. Economics is the study of how we navigate those choices. Every decision, from what you eat for breakfast to a government's national budget, is rooted in scarcity. Flowing from scarcity is the concept of opportunity cost. This is one of the most important ideas in economics. Opportunity cost is the value of the next best alternative you gave up. If you spend 2 hours watching a movie, the opportunity cost is what you could have done instead. Studying, working, spending time with family. It isn't just money. A government building a new hospital might forgo a new school instead. Recognizing opportunity costs reveals the trade-offs in every action. Perhaps the most famous concepts are supply and demand. They determine prices in a market. Demand, how much consumers are willing and able to buy at various prices. When price falls, people buy more. Supply: how much producers are willing and able to sell. When price rises, producers supply more. The meeting point is the equilibrium price. Quantity demanded equals quantity supplied. Economics is not a single, monolithic subject. Instead, it is a large house with many different rooms, each dedicated to a set of questions. The most fundamental division is between microeconomics and macroeconomics. Microeconomics studies the economy on a small scale, households, firms, and their interactions in specific markets. A microeconomist might study how a family budgets, how a company sets a price, or the effects of rent control in a single city. It is about the individual trees rather than the entire forest. In contrast, macroeconomics looks at the economy as a whole, the overall performance, structure, and behavior of a country's economy. Macroeconomists study inflation, unemployment, and economic growth. They analyze policy tools governments and central banks use, such as interest rates and government spending. It is concerned with the health of the entire forest. International economics studies flows of goods, services, and capital, and examines tariffs, exchange rates, and trade agreements. Public economics analyzes the government's role, tax design, public goods like roads and national defense, and programs such as Social Security and unemployment insurance. Behavioral economics blends psychology with theory, acknowledging that emotions, social norms, and mental shortcuts shape decisions. Environmental economics applies tools to pollution, climate change, and managing natural resources like forests and fisheries. Section 5. Architects of Thought. Famous minds in economics. The field has been shaped by brilliant thinkers whose theories influenced public policy and history. Adam Smith argued that competition and the pursuit of self-interest in a free market could lead to widespread prosperity, his invisible hand guiding efficient resource use. John Maynard Keynes, responding to the Great Depression, argued that insufficient spending could cause prolonged unemployment and advocated public spending or tax cuts to boost demand. Milton Friedman emphasized the role of the money supply and warned that intervention often does more harm than good, shaping monetarist policies and winning the 1976 Nobel Prize. Karl Marx offered a lasting critique of capitalism. Amartya Sen broadened economics toward human capabilities. Janet Yellen and Ben Bernanke became well known as Federal Reserve chairs during the 2008 crisis. They demonstrated the real-world impact of economic leadership. Well, that brings us to a sense of how ideas shape economies. Understanding who shaped the field helps explain how we debate and design policies today. Section 7. The Challenges of Today. Current Economic Issues. In our modern, interconnected world, economies face a complex and ever-changing set of challenges. One of the most persistent issues is economic inequality. In many countries, the gap between the highest earners and everyone else has widened for decades. A larger share of growth flows to a smaller percentage. Economists and policymakers grapple with these trends. Possible causes include technological change, globalization, and shifts in tax policy. They debate consequences, reduced social mobility, political instability, and remedies, from tax code changes to investments in education. Technological change and automation are transforming industries. Innovation boosts productivity, yet can displace workers. Truck drivers, factory workers, and even some white-collar roles face automation risks. Managing the transition means new educational pathways and support for displaced workers, and ensuring the benefits are shared broadly. The environment presents urgent challenges: more extreme weather, rising seas, damage to agriculture, costs borne by society as a whole. Economists design policies like carbon taxes and cap-and-trade to price pollution and create incentives to reduce emissions. Section 8. Gazing Ahead. The Future of Economic Challenges. Looking toward the horizon, economists anticipate challenges that will define the 21st century. often intensifications of today's issues. Artificial intelligence and automation may transform physical and complex cognitive work alike. Ensuring human labor remains valuable will be central. We may rethink education around uniquely human skills, creativity, critical thinking, emotional intelligence. Demographic change, aging populations, strains public finances, pensions, social security, and elder health care. Climate challenges extend to adaptation, building seawalls, developing drought-resistant crops, relocating high-risk communities. These adaptations are expensive and raise who pays questions, with cascading risks to supply chains, food security, and migration. The digital economy spotlights market power, competition, and privacy. New frameworks must prevent monopolies while fostering innovation. Economists will measure digital goods reproduced at near zero cost and the value of free services as tools and thinking evolve. It's quite a transformation ahead. Section 9. The tangible impact. How economics contributes to society. Economic principles help design better public policy, clarifying trade-offs so decisions reduce poverty and improve lives. Insights guide development and growth, shaping strategies that lifted hundreds of millions from extreme poverty. Studying competition and finance informs antitrust and regulation to keep prices lower, quality higher, and crises rarer. At a personal level, concepts like opportunity cost, marginal thinking, and incentives guide careers, savings, and investments. In summary, economics studies choice under scarcity, illuminating individuals, businesses, and governments across history and into the future. Ultimately, economics is about people, how we work, trade, provide for families, and build communities and nations. It is a calm exploration of the choices that define our humanity.